Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Season 2, can you believe it, of the TCR Championship. My name is Stephen Koenig, and joining me in the commentary box, like always, is Janneman Press. Janneman, welcome to Oran Park Season 2.
Good evening, Stephen. Yes, it's good to be back. This is officially the first race of the new race season of Raceface. We're heading to Oran Park, down under. Stephen, we were chatting about it before the race. A track that actually doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, no, gone in 2010, but is still rather exciting to have here. And got to say, Season 2 is going to be one not to be missed. With all the action, and as we went and caught up on our recap, I think we're going to have some incredible racing. Lots of people trying to go for the championship. Also, variety of different circuits, open setups this time compared to what we saw in Season 1.
Exactly, yes. So what that means, the drivers can set the cars up on their own. No more fixed setups. No more driving a setup that doesn't suit your driving style. It's now exactly the same as what we do in ACC. The drivers can set up the cars to suit their driving styles and to get the most out of that car to fight their way up to the front.
Yeah, and we've got quite a bit on the line. New drivers, new faces going and having a bit of fun. New cars coming in, some interesting choices. I see the Elantra being a big pick out there as we see Robin Teenings making his way around. He's hoping to get a good jump early on for qualifying. We've got a 10-minute qualifying. Then you've got Tristan de Nordbrugge for RDSA. He's out in the Honda Civic Type R. Interesting pick. Not too much of a fan of the Honda, but some people tend to enjoy it. I feel it's a little bit floaty in the way that I felt it, but that's me. I prefer the Veloster. Julian Familiaris, he's jumping into a bit of fun and actually putting in the first lap time out on the board with a 1:12. That immediately gets beaten out by Paul Gerber, who jumps up into first place with that Martini livery. Werner Skuman into second place. He's having a bit of fun out there, hoping to get a little bit more of a charge. So already guys are starting to put in those incredible lap times as it's all gone on. But Werner Skuman dropping down as our defending champion returns. Johan Fourie out in second place. He's got Willem Bertha trying to chase him down. Chase Herald also making a bit of a run out in the Liqui Moly colours. And Tristan de Nordbrugge putting himself into first place. Bego Krobler into seventh place. And making his rookie season in Iracing.
There must be a new driver. Have you heard of him before?
I don't know. Some guy that drives with GT3s, I think, in another thing. But anyone...
Maybe they've gotten too quick for him.
Oh, maybe so. He just prefers front-wheel drives. No, but we got to love him. Bego Krobler coming away from the Setta Corsa Competizione side for Hybrid Academy and jumping into a bit of fun with the TCRs out there in the Elantra. Then we've got Timothy Santon returning once again, Werner Swart. Then we've got Doug Herber, Herman Lazarus, Robbie Teenings is coming back to have a bit of fun. Roland Ferreira, new name to the mix, cool, and in team backmarkers, good to see it. Richard Herring, he's back out on the circuit, and I believe his dad will be joining as well during the season, so we will see Rob Herring coming to have a bit of fun. Rudolf Tolman coming into play, and this man over here, Hilton Nixon, been chatting to him quite a bit. Really excited to have a bit of fun out here. Also, for a debut run, I've got to say, it's nice to see some excitement coming in, lots of discussions, and getting a bit of seeing the nerves kicking in is always great. Arno Kraus as well, as we got a couple of people going and chatting, just also warning about that turn one being very, very difficult. So the guys have to bear that in mind. Rowan Ferreira is out there, Lewis Nokia, Richard Herring, Roloff Tolman, Vainan Kursop making his return into the wall. Hilton, he's out in 20th. 21st is Luke Lecchesi is back in to have a bit of fun. Nico Killerman returns with Gabriel Dos Santos coming into the mix. Christopher Bosch, Jeff Hancock's also coming back after a bit of fun. I believe he switched over to a Mazda steering wheel. He's been participating over with the F4s as well. Andrew Thomas coming in to have a bit of fun. Yuri Umpiswat, Francois Joubert, Jason Coetzee, and the list goes on and on, Janneman. We have got a absolutely stacked field of drivers to have a bit of fun for the first race of Season 2 of the TCRs. And I've got to say, I'm really, really excited to see how it all turns out.
Even if I'm counting correctly here on the timing sheet, only 22 cars have put in times. There's still, well, now 23 cars. There's still 7 cars. 6 cars that need to put in times. That means we've got 29 cars on the grid.
I mean, honestly, this track maxes out, I think, about 35, 40 cars, so we just nearly there. But it's amazing of how fast the category's gone, and the guys have opened it up. Even though it's open setups, everyone seems to be rather excited to jump into it, doing those final adjustments. But it's not as scary as one would think with open setups. The guys managing to use the fixed setup and just, adding a little bit of fuel to the fixed STO setup, which is provided by Iracing itself. So you don't even need to go in with a super uber-duper setup that you've built up and you've really worked. You can get something pretty easy and have a bit of fun out there.
Well, me and you would know. Me and you are no strangers to open setup racing in iRacing, and you tend to become to know the setups quite well. What I mean by that is, after a while, you know what to change on it. So you'll take the fixed setup of a track, and you know you'll have to decrease the front anti roll bar by 1 or 2, or up the wing by 1 or 2. You kind of learn what your aero balance on the car is. So a lot of people think it's a lot of work to do a setup, and no, it isn't. After a while, it becomes something you can do in all of 10 minutes, literally, because you know what you need to change on the car to, a little bit of a drift we got there. But what I want to say is you tend to learn what you need to change on the car very quickly to suit your driving style.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely tremendous to see the guys coming in, having a bit of fun. Nice to see the whole thing going and growing. But this is TCR racing. Everyone loves it. You got front wheel drives. You can go door to door. It's small circuits that you can nip around in. I mean, honestly, they're fun little cars to go drive around. You haven't got all the fancy gadgets to keep you alive. ABS, traction control, all that to just go and make life easier. You've got some raw power that has to work to it. Your right foot is pretty much your traction control. Your left foot is your other traction control. And between the two, you got to figure it out. And that's what I love about the TCR racing. It's just getting back to more of the raw kind of fun racing out there, and very similar to what we see in the real world with all the different types. A little bit of flashing of lights going on as Vayner and Kursop trying to put in his lap time, but he is also getting assisted along by one of the typos. A little bit of contact from Tristan de Nordbrugge, who's trying to get past. He was on a flyer of a lap, so it's something he's just got to be. Yeah, this is the thing. You've got to be a bit cautious of with knowing that guys are around. You've got to try and figure out how to give each other space, but at the same time not compromising your race as well. So let's see how it's all going to turn out with follow the leader for a little bit.
Yeah, also keep in mind we've got 29 cars around this tight and twisty track. Oran Park, not a very long track. I mean, you can see it in the lap type, Stephen. We are Julian Familiaris, 1 minute 10.182. I mean, that says to you this is not a very long lap, and with 29 cars on the grid, it's gonna get busy.
Yeah, so far 1 minute 10.18 as the fastest lap time. Jason Coetzee with a 1:10.3. Yuri Umpi-Swart with a 1:10.39. Now, we also got to bring up there is 2 heats. There's 2 different heats. So they've got qualifying for heat 1, qualifying for heat 2, that the drivers are going to have to figure out. Rule of Tourman, just going and taking too much curb there. So there is 2 heats to go and make it work. You have to figure out what's going to work well with you and be able to get going. And knowing that your first race isn't do or die, you can focus on a second race. You do have essentially a comeback chance at it. As the checkered flag comes out, drivers still trying to make their way around the circuit just to get those final laps in at this point. But it is going to be a hard-fought race, I think, as everyone makes their way around. But Julian Familiaris, Jason Coetzee, Yuri Umpiswat, that is your first three. Then we've got Jan Free, William Bertha, Chase Herald, Francois Joubert, Paul Gerber, Jan Gerber, Werner Skuman, all still trying to get it out there. Luke Lucchesi still out on a lap. Werner Swartz out on a lap. Rowan Ferreira, who we see on screen with Richard Herring, he's out on a lap. Gabriel Dos Santos, Jeff Hancock, everyone's still trying to get those times in right towards the end.
Absolutely, that kink they went through now. Can't really see it the couple of turns just before the last corner. Couldn't really see it on that camera angle, Stephen. That is a total blind corner. You actually literally aim for a tree as you go through there and hope you've picked your line correctly coming out the other side.
Yeah, so as the drivers made their way around, finishing up the laps, everyone is going to be preparing themselves for the start of the race, and it's not going to be an easy one for the guys to try and figure out how it's all going to work. So far, though, I think we're in for a fantastic race. A little bit of argy-bargy, as we've seen, but I'm sure everyone will settle down as time goes on. But this little bit is to give you a bit of practice, get yourself sorted out, and focus on what needs to be done as our cars start lining up. There is our, well, what's to come, our grid, as everyone is lining up on the line. So, out in first place is Julian Familiaris. He will be starting out the grid, followed by Yuri Umpiswat, Jason Coetzee, Jan Fourie, Willem Bertha, Chase Herald, Francois Joubert, defending champion, in 7th place. Then we have got Paul Gerber in 8th. 9th is going to the likes of, just trying to, it seems like our grid, there we go. Then we have got Paul, Bego Krobler. He is going to be starting out in 9th place, followed by Werner Skuman. So keep an eye on the battle there. As you can hear, everyone lined up. Bego Krobler in 9th place, 10, Werner Skuman, Luke Lucchesi, Werner Swart, Andrew Thomas, Tristan de Norbrigger, Timothy Stanton, Herman Lazarus, Doe Gerber, Roelof Tilleman, Nico Kellerman, Roland Ferreira, Robbie Teenings, Christopher Bosch, Richard Herring, Gabriel Dos Santos, Hilton Nixon, Jeff Hancock, Arno Kraus, Lewis Nokia, and Vainan Kursa, rounding out our 29 TCR field. And I gotta say, this is going to be a race for the ages, so keep an eye on it. Julian Familiaris out in the front, looking to get a good start. Yuri Umpiswat in 2nd, but it is a standing start. We know turn 1 can be tricky, especially into the chicane, so the guys are going to have to be really, really careful. As lights go on, waiting for it, green lights, and away we go. Off to a cracker of a start. Everyone fighting for position, jostling to just get a better position as they make their way through. But Yuri Umpiswat getting the jump. Jan Fourie going around the outside, though. He's trying to get a little bit more of a toe. Falls down back into 3rd place as the whole grid concertina's up. A couple of cars going off into turn 1, turn 2, under braking.
Yeah, absolutely. Mental during this stage of the race. You've got the whole field bunched up, cars going 3 wide, little bit of contact here and there as we have a look at Willem Botha, Johan Fourie, all of them trying, to battle it out, get your space that you can run in quite comfortably. But at this stage, Stephen, through this section, we see Johan Fourie going side by side there. I mean, that's not an easy section over the bridge. You go over the bridge into a blind turn, basically, to go side by side through. But this is what we're going to see in the TCR racing tonight.
Yeah, Tristan de Norbrigger managing to go and close up the position, so keep an eye out whether he will be able to keep it going. But Yuri Umpiswat out in front. Willem Botha feeling the pressure. He's got Chase Herald all over the back of him. He's got Paul Gerber also doing everything he can to just try get a little bit more of a run, utilizing all the Martini colors at this point to close it down. Then we've got Jason Coetzee. He's actually pulling Julian Familiaris at this point, who started way out in the front, now falling down into 6th place. Werner Skuman getting a little bit more of a run. He's got Francois Joubert right behind him. Tristan de Norbrigger going and closing that gap down. Jan Fourie had a little bit of contact. He dropped a little bit further down the field. So we'll have to see how it all works out as everyone gets a little bit more of a run down the way through. Lap 1 done and dusted. Let's see how it works. Timothy Stanton, he's trying to go on the defense. He's got Herman Lazarus all over the back of him. Rudolf Tolman trying to make up a bit of ground. Along right behind him is Rowan Ferreira, along with Christopher Busch right up against his back bumper. Gabriel Dos Santos, Jeff Hancock's getting a good start. He's out in 18th position. A little bit further down, we've got Andrew Thomas. He's got Richard Herring all over the back of him. Luke Lucchese trying to close down the distance. He was part of an earlier contact in the race. Lewis Nokia, Bago Krobler, Robbie Teenings trying to make up a bit of ground. That car looking okay. Arno Kraus, Venon Kursop, Doe Herber, though, coming out of the pits. Nico Killerman's also needing to get a bit of work done on that front left. With that looks to be Hilton Nixon as well. He's sustained a fair amount of damage to his car, so he's going to need a bit of repair work. But back out at front, it's still Willem Bertha versus Chase Herald at the moment. Does look like Chase lost a bit of drive. That's fallen right into the clutches of Paul Herber, who tries to go around the outside. Not getting any luck there. And it does look like Julian Familiaris trying to capitalize on it as well. And as you can see, Jason Coetzee taking a huge lunge up on the inside of Julian Familiaris.
The other guys are definitely not holding back tonight. Interesting things, Stephen, just a quick thing. We see a lot more Hondas on the grid than what we saw last season. So obviously some guys, drove the Honda. They liked what they drove and decided, it might be a bit more nimble this season it might enable them to work their way through the field to the top a little bit better.
Yeah, and we can see Jason keeping really tucked up on the inside, watching this battle with Paul Herber and Julian Familiaris going side by side as they make their way through. Julian just holding that inside line as he tries to get a little bit more momentum. Paul Herber's not backing out of it, slows down slightly, and Jason immediately putting his nose into the braking marker, forcing Paul out wide and now dropping down the order. So Paul just getting put on the wrong line, and unfortunately that has lost a bit of time. Allowed Werner Skuman to get back into the fray of things. Francois Joubert has got Tristan de Norberger looking up on the inside, pushing as hard as he can to try and get by. Jan Ferree, who is our defending champion, looks to the inside, tried making a 3-wide and second-guessed it halfway through.
Yeah, well, maybe a good call there to back out just a little bit. As we see here, we've got Tristan de Norberger. He's again going side by side through there with the other Honda and not holding back. A little bit of argy-bargy through there, but they make it through cleanly. This is not even a 3-car battle. This is essentially almost a 20-car battle that we're seeing here.
Now that's it, and Werner Swart not looking to be left out of the party. Francois Joubert looking to go and change up. He went and scored, getting himself onto the podium for the first season, but now having to try and close down the distance as well after this. So let's see if he'll be able to make it all work as they power their way through. Tristan de Norberger doing everything he can. Jan Ferree, though, dropping through the order. So it looks like Jan Ferree, who decided to go in the pits, I think may have sustained slight damage to his car, getting that repaired, and then will be heading back out onto the circuit. So a couple of guys getting a little bit too much of a shoulder rub from one another, having to just get some repair work done and get back out on the circuit. Gabriel Dos Santos, he's also, looks like Gabriel, and is that Paul Herber's nose? I saw Martini's.
It does look like a Martini nose there.
That was
a front bumper on track.
That was a Martini nose. We just see Andrew Thomas has landed up in the accident, so let's take a look. He's got a really smashed up car, trying to come back on. A little bit of a rough rejoin. So he had a problem, and then just trying to pull it back. Unfortunately, going and sustaining too much damage. So a couple of guys just going and saying, look, rather get it sorted out, get back out there. But out in front is Yuri Umpi-Swart opening up the distance. Willem Bertha in second. Julian Familiaris, he has got Jason Coetzee, Werner Skuman chasing him down. It does look like there is a Martini that is cruising around him, but that seems to be a Herber that's going a little bit slower than planned. That's Paul Herber. He's down in 13th position. That is, well,
that's not a one piece anymore.
I don't think that was Paul Herber out in the front, because Paul is missing a bit of everything.
Yeah, it's not just his front bumper that's missing. You can see the whole inside of the car there, the boot, the rear wing, everything is gone.
You can see the driver. That
You
is a successfully broken touring car, I think, but he's managing to hang it out there.
It's almost an F4 now, open wheeler.
Just about. Take a couple of wheel arches off and bend the car a little bit more, put the driver in the center, sorted. Werner Swart, he's on the back of Timothy Stanton, getting into the toe, trying to pull himself around. Looks around the outside, not able to get close enough just as yet. Will have to carry on the toe, but is trying everything he can. Back out in front, though, Tristan de Norbrigge for 7th place. 8th place is Francois Joubert, trying to go around the outside. Tristan de Norbrigge looking to get a little bit more of a run as Francois hooks it on the dirt, sideways, brings it back. Well, that is definitely giving him a bit of a fright, and that has allowed Werner Skuman to come into the fray. Werner's going to try get himself going a little bit. He dropped a wheel on the dirt, but these cars are now mixing wheels up and down through the field, and we've successfully got into the back markers. As we can see, Werner deciding he's going to take the curb and try and get a little bit more pace. Werner Swart trying to get involved in the fight as well. He's trying to go around the outside. That's going to be a difficult run as they battle it out. But right behind, Herman Lazarus has also got the momentum. He dives up on the inside of Werner Swart. Contact between the two, though. And around. Oh, Werner just getting a slight bit unsteady. And Herman Lazarus getting a little bit of a tag, twisting him around. It's unfortunate to see race incidents like that, but when you're racing so close to one another, anything can happen.
Yeah, Stephen, I had a look at it. He took a lot of curb there on the inside. I think that unsettled the car, made him understeer into the other car, and he was just a passenger from there on in.
Now, Willem Botha going after Julian Familiaris. These two going and slugging it out properly. Julian managing to just get a little bit more momentum, but Willem Botha is not giving up right now. He's going to keep in the toe, keep nice and tucked up over the rear as they cross over the bridge. Now trying to get the power down and really stomp on the throttle. Little bit of a dab on the brakes. You can see the brakes starting to glow up a little bit. That tells me that they've just moved the brake bias a little bit further towards the back as they make their way through. But Jason is going to keep up the fight. He wants to close down the distance. Chase Herald down in 5th position. 6th, Tristan de Norbrigge, who gets it all types of wrong and sustaining a bit of damage to his car. Let's see if we can try and go back with that and see what happened. So let's see what happened to Tristan de Norbrigge. Drops a wheel on the dirt, slides it round, brings it back, comes in front, has netcode with one of the cars. And yeah, just the damage there of trying to get it all sorted. But it does look like that might have been... was that an AlphaTauri color scheme that I saw that landed up with a fair amount of damage as well? They got involved it.
A lot of damage on that AlphaTauri car. Also missing the front bumper, so I think he will also have to put for repairs. It's going to set him back quite significantly. But Stephen, action from the front of the field to the back. I mean, these guys are really duking it out. But what this has resulted in, first place, Urian Piswat has now opened up a 6.5 second gap over second place man Julian Familiaris, and Willem Botha now has fallen back quite or slightly 1.3 seconds behind Julian Familiaris in 3rd place. He's now starting to battle with Jason Kutsia.
Now, just taking a look over to the grandstands, there is a support to this man over here, Hilton Nixon. He's down in 24th position. We've got some support for him as well. Tebo Moloto going and saying, how's it, guys? Good to see you, Tebo. And you'll see a bit of support going out there. Herman Lazarus has got Andrew J.S. Thompson onto the back of him. So we've got battles right the way through. The guys having a bit of fun out there. Not with its own little bit of chaos, but the 3-car battle at the moment everyone has to talk about is Rowan Ferreira, Gabriel Dos Santos, and Robbie Teenings looking to battle it out. Robbie trying to go up on the inside, just not able to get on the brakes late enough, with Gabriel running out a little bit wide, seems a bit more comfortable, but not able to get on the power, and that has allowed Robbie Teenings to dive up around the outside. Gonna try his luck, but sitting right in the wings is Bego Krobler. looking to go and jump onto the back of Gabriel Dos Santos at the moment.
Bego doing really well in his first touring car race. Something totally different than what he's used to racing. Front-wheel drive compared to the rear-wheel drive GT3s he's used to. Really doing well there. He is in this battle, and it's really nice to see the guys from ACC doing the jump over to the dark side of iRacing as well, Stephen. Up on the inside, Bego. That was actually a brilliant move up on the inside there to take the position.
Now, getting ahead of Gabriel Dos Santos and jumping himself up into 16th position. But as we're starting to run short of time, 12 minutes done and dusted. This is going to be properly fun, right to the line. Yuri Umpiswat leading it out. Second place is Julian Familiaris. Jason Coetzee out in third place. Willem Botha in fourth. Fifth, Chase Herald, followed by Tristan de Norbrugge, Timothy Stanton, Werner Swart, Francois Joubert, Roloff Turleman, Paul Herber out in 11th place, Luke Lucchesi in 12th, chasing down Christopher Bosch in 13th, 14th, Rowan Ferreira, Robbie Teenings in 15th, he's getting chased down by Bego Krobler, Gabriel Dos Santos, Johan Ferree, Richard Herring, Doe Herber, Vainan Kursop, Herman Lazarus, Andrew Thompson, Hilton Nixon getting chased down by Nico Killerman, Louis Nokia, Arno Kraus, Werner Skuman, unfortunately going and retiring the car by the looks of it. And down in 29th position, Jeff Hancox. Jeff Sended Hancox back out on the circuit, which is always good to see.
It's good to see him coming back with a bang.
Well, hopefully not with a bang. I mean, then he centered far too hard.
That was a dad joke, okay. Referring to the livery of the car.
Oh, okay.
It was so bad you didn't even get it.
No, I'm just amazed with all the action that's going on as we see Timothy Stanton.
I'm finding it hard to keep up.
It's just there's a battle everywhere, and now with them mixing around, Timothy Stanton going with Werner Swart trying to battle it out. Francois Joubert going and having a damaged nose is not going to back down, and I've got to give it up. This is why Francois landed up in the podium positions come the end of the championship in season 1. So is properly fighting it out there to have a ton of fun. I've got to say, this is touring car racing. There's a little bit of a bang, there's a little bit of a scratch, but you're watching the guys really slug it out. And you're talking about not only real-world drivers, but the best of the sims coming into play. We do have a couple of drivers missing. We've got Etienne, he's out in the grandstands watching. We also know Devin Delport is not in the grid. He's going to be coming through. So we're going to be sitting with over 30 cars at one point jumping into this. Grant Sebastian saying the racing actually looks amazing. Should get into iRacing. I want to see you get into iRacing, Grant. It would be fantastic.
We dare you.
Yeah, we dare you to come in and have a bit of fun. All free circuits. Only thing that's been bought here is literally the touring car, which, I mean, the entire service uses it the whole time. So basically, pick what you like. We're out of 4 different cars, open setup, so you can go and really slug it out and have a ton of fun out on the circuit. Tristan de Norbrugge, though, getting past one of the Martini cars. He is maintaining 6th position with the likes of Timothy Stanton and Werner Swart battling it out behind him. They trying to deal with one another as they put the power down to get a little bit more ahead. Going to be some interesting racing right the way through. As we said, this is only heat 1 of 2 heats, 2 20-minute heats that is being run, 2 different qualifying sessions that the drivers are going to have to do. So even though you had a rough race the first time, well, there's always chance to come back for more.
Yeah, absolutely. Stephen, as you said, we're running 2 heats with every race. So essentially, we've got an 8-race championship, not like last season, which we only had 4 races. So very much following the 8-race championship schedule that we used to at RaceFace.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely incredible stuff. And comboing it with the brand spanking new, just seeing there's been contact between Werner Swart and Timothy Stanton, the two coming together and landing up with a problem.
And it becomes a bigger problem.
Yep, no, turn 1 becoming a little bit of a problem for everyone. So let's actually go and take a look, try and analyze what happened. This is Werner Swart. He is doing everything he can to go after Timothy Stanton. Looks for the inside line, has to back out of it. Tries it once again. Timothy gets unsteady under braking. Werner Swart on the curb. 2 of them tagging each other. Unfortunately, light contact going and causing a bit of a break. And, Oh, just the return. Unfortunately, cars landing up with a problem. That looked like it was Veynon Kursop that got into the bit of a smack there. He tried coming back on, but arrived on the scene of a problem.
Right front of that Hyundai of Werner Swart is not looking too happy. So, Stephen, I can tell you who's not going to be happy. That's the sim mechanics in the garage that need to fix these cars for Heat 2.
Yeah, they've got unlimited repairs, so they can go and figure out what they need to do to get it all sorted out. So you can see guys bailing into the pits to get themselves all fixed and back out onto the circuit. So even though you do have damage, you do have a bit of time, as we see Christopher Bosch turning it, losing it over the turn one, and, well, needing a new pair of shorts after that one.
Yeah, and I think the other drivers did very well to miss him in that incident. Still trying to make his way back on track. Turn one, or essentially turn two, Stephen, it's not the easiest turns in the world to deal with.
No, not at all. But I want to point out here, this is Roelof Tilleman, who has got a problem because no wing, no bonnet, no front anything, going and duking out. Paul Gerber has essentially got a touring car turned cup car to have a bit of fun out there. He is properly hanging it out, deciding that since there is no steward's flag telling him to come in the pits, he's going to keep up the chase. And I've got to take hats off to him.
Well, if you don't have the black and orange flag, there's no rule that says you can't race it.
Well, to go and answer a question out in the grandstands over at Raceface, happens every first Tuesday. Next week we have the start of the Formula 4 category that will be out. So we have single seaters in Raceface out on Iracing. The Formula 4s will be having a bit of fun. Then the following week after that, you'll have TCRs. So every alternating week, the guys will be having a bit of fun with the different cars. Paul Gerber up on the inside, tried his best. Roelof saying, no thank you, that's not going to happen, buddy. Try again next time. But that has allowed Luke Lucchesi to get into the fight. He's lying in 10th place, putting the charge on and really trying to close down the distance on these two that are slugging it out. Yuri Umpiswat disappeared into oblivion along with Julian Familiaris, but a little bit further down the field, the guys are properly having a great time out there.
Yeah, I'm having a closer look at that. What's that? It is a Honda or a Veloster that Paul's driving? I don't even know anymore.
I think that's not a Veloster. It's
a Honda.
I think
it's a Honda. It looks like a Honda.
That looks like the Honda, but
yeah, it was a Honda.
Yeah, was a Honda, now broken. But chasing after the likes of Roelof Tilleman in the Audi, who jumps over the curb, that allows Paul Gerber to close down. Luke Lucchesi, seeing that he has an opportunity now, trying to get a little bit closer. He's hoping maybe, just maybe, lock it down on the inside and get going once again. So let's see how it all goes. But checkered flag has come out. Yuri Umpiswat taking first place, with Julian Familiaris taking second place. A little bit different to the usual V8s that we see Julian in. He's going to be happy with that. Jason Coetzee taking third place. Willem Botha out in fourth is going to be smiling. Chase Herald going and picking up some good points. Tristan de Norbrigger out in sixth place, trying to make his way around. One corner to go. He'll be taking sixth place. Francois Joubert in seventh place and taking home some great points for his championship. Roelof Tilleman battling it out. Looks like he gets ahead of Paul Gerber. Luke Lucchesi up on the inside. Two of them who can drag race it down to the wire. Who's it going to be? Paul Gerber just by the nose. Getting ahead of Luke Lucchesi. Bago Krobler coming across the line. He's taking 11th place. 12th going to Timothy Stanton, along with Robbie Teenings right behind him. Ruan Ferreira chasing him down. He finishes out in 14th. Gabriel Dos Santos in 15th. 16th, Johan Ferree. Christopher Busch. Richard Herring making his way around. He's had a great run out there. Doe Gerber, a little bit further down compared to where he expected to be. 20th place, Werner Swart, Andrew Thomas, Herman Lazarus having a good run out there. Hilton Nixon for a debut run. Gotta say, hats off to the young man as he makes his way over the bridge. He's keeping ahead of Werner Skuman, Nico Killerman in 25th, 26th, Lewis Nokia, Arno Kraus, Jeff Hancocks, and Veynon Kursop finishing 29th for our Heat 1 of Round 1 of the TCR Championship. Here, And I've got to say, phew, I'm out of breath at the moment.
And we still have another one to go.
That's it.
This is only race 1 done. We've got heat 2 coming up shortly. I'm sure these guys, the drivers, also need a little bit of a break between these 2 races. Stephen, it's only a 20-minute race, but if you race like this, it could almost feel like a 2-hour race physically.
It's going to be an incredible one. So as our drivers make their way through, you can see them just filtering their way back into the pits. And it's good to see the guys just driving their way around, get the lap done, pull in the pits properly. Couple of bends and broken, but a couple looking really, really good out there. Strong showing for a lot of these drivers as they make their way through. Oh, slight contact while they're slowing for the pits. Pit lane catching a few people out right at the last. But, Yanaman, while we're taking a look at the amazing effort the guys have done, let's actually take a look at the race results with how it's all turned out. Yuri Swart making a good show. He's hoping to claw his way out to the front. So let's see how it's going to turn out for him. Heading into Heat 2, Julian Familiaris, Jason Coetzee, William Bertha going and finishing out in 4th. Chase Herald, Tristan Norbrigger, Francois Joubert, Roloff Tilleman, Paul Gerber, Luke Lecchesi in 10th place. 11th, Bago Krobler, Timothy Stanton, Robbie Teenings, Roland Ferreira, Gabriel Santos, Jan Ferry, Christopher Bosch, Richard Herring, Doe Gerber, Werner Swart. Then we go down 21st, Andrew Thomas, Herman Lazarus, Hilton Nixon, Werner Skuman, Nico Killerman, Louis Nokia, Arno Kraus, Jeff Hancock, and Vainan Kursap running out our field after Heat 1 done and dusted for our racing. I think we're in for a fantastic run. I think it is going to be an interesting one. A lot of people are going to have to figure out what's the next plan. Maybe a bit of tinkering work going in behind the scenes for our drivers. We know that it is an open setup, so the guys can do a bit of work to sort out the cars, try and dial them in a little bit more.
Absolutely, Stephen, and not just that, the drivers that did have a very difficult first race would definitely in the second race try and redeem themselves. Yeah, some of it was part of an unfortunate accident, but if you made your own mistakes, you know, you will try and rectify those mistakes come the second race, because in a couple of minutes time we're going to do it all over again. We've got another qualifying session coming up and then another 20-minute race. So we are only halfway through the racing evening, and there's a lot more still to come in race 2.
Well, that's it, guys. If you are enjoying the action, make sure you hit the subscribe button along with the bell notification icon for plenty more racing out here on Raceface. Taking a look, though, a bit of chats in the pits. We actually have Hilton Nixon saying that was a crazy start. Gained 2 places, though. Very, very happy with the result on that. So good to see some positivity. The guys really excited of how it's all turning out. And I've got to say, I'm really, really looking forward to getting to chat to the drivers after the race, get a bit of a feel of what guys think and what is next on the cards for them. I know that some people are going to be a little bit sad. Vainan Kursap being one of those, arriving onto the scene, turn 2, landed up hitting the brakes, and unfortunately it just was, everything was a little bit too late, so it landed up with a bit of damage there. So I know he's going to be trying to get the head back on, focus onto Heat 2, and get back out there on the circuit for the guys to do it. Standing starts, though, always tricky. Cold tires, the guys are going to have to figure out how to maneuver their way around the circuit with those type of conditions. And something different to the usual, just follow the pace car in terms of it. So we'll have to see. But yeah, as said, this is TCR. Next week we got F4. The following we've got TCR, both running the same circuits. All 3 tracks at Oran Park being round number 1. 2 heats, both 20-minute races. So short, quick, straight to the point races. The F4s are going to be a fixed setup per track, which is all iRacing setups. So nothing different, no special modifications. It's the same stuff you can go and do on an officials race. But the open setups in the TCRs does allow you to dial the car in a little bit more, especially with how tricky these cars can become. if you go too far the wrong way. That's why easiest one I go and talk about is just going and putting a fixed setup, put a bit of fuel in and go. Grant Sebastian actually going and pointing out something I do actually need to go and point out to, and that's Gabriel Dos Santos, who went and jumped from 24 to P15. So yeah, we got to talk about that. Moved up 9 places in the race. Rilov Tillerman moved up 10 places. Tristan de Norbrugge moved up 8 places. Yeah, these are some fantastic ones. Couple of guys landing up with problems. Jan Ferry, our defending champion, was down 12 positions since the start, so he's got to try and work his way up come Heat 2 in just a few moments. Werner Skuman down 14 positions, so he also is going to be thinking, what do I need to do to dial that car in and get it that little bit more? But it's good to see that debut runs are heading out there, like Gabriel, going and really hitting it out the ballpark and climbing his way through. Maybe this is where we're going to start seeing new champions coming up to the forefront of the TCR racing here at Raceface. And leading out the charge, maybe we're going to see guys starting to jump in. Good to see ACC guys that usually racing like Bago jumping in to have a bit of fun and looking to go and cause a bit of carnage out there on the field. What's your thoughts onto that, Janaman?
I mean, absolutely. And just, having a quick chat about Bago. Let's just be clear, Bago is no rookie in iRacing. Me and you raced a lot of times against Bago before. On iRacing, on both. We did GT3s and I think it was also touring cars we did. So Bago is no slouch on iRacing. But Stephen, we need to chat about the guys coming in like Bago, Grobler. We've got, Gabriel Dos Santos, some of the ACC guys racing. Now, these very guys might be racing tomorrow night and Thursday night, again, on a totally different sim. They're going to go back to ACC. They're going to drive the GT3 cars. So they are, let's think of a new word. They are actually multi-simming at this stage. Doing races on multiple sims during the week. And that's not always a very easy thing to do.
Yeah, and seeing the guys really go and stick it out. So it's going to be interesting. Just got a little bit of information as well that's come through just right now. So the qualifying is going from a open qualifying, which we saw a little bit earlier. It's going into a closed qualifying, 4 laps. So let's see how it's going to work out there. So the guys, essentially for a closed qualifying, let's explain to everyone, not all the cars will go out in qualifying, but you will be essentially in different servers. So you'll be alone on the track for 4 laps, and you won't have to worry about running into any other cars. You won't worry about any other cars going and messing up your laps. So it's a little bit more, you go for it, you've got the track by yourself, and if you go flying off into the dirt, well, it's because you went flying off into the dirt. There's no one else you can point it to. So that's something the guys need to be aware of for this little adjustment that's been done. As I said, a little bit of refined work being done into the whole entire... Yeah, well, since it's still in its infant stage, the guys seem to be looking more on the positive, trying to figure out what setups are going to work, how it's all going to build up as time goes on. But we're going to be starting with our racing in just a few moments, so don't go anywhere, because at 20 past, the server will open up and we will be back out there to go and see all the action. I'm curious to see, will Yuri Swat be able to hold that first place? Julian Familiaris was putting in a monstrous fight, trying to close down the distance as well, so I think he's going to be a proper match for him. Jason Kutsia as well in third place, running those 1:11.3s on his last lap. The best lap times out on circuit was actually Yuri Umpiswat doing a 1:09.8, but most of the field doing between 1:10s, 1:11s right the way through, which is fantastic to see, especially on such a busy short circuit.
Yeah, I mean, that's one point that I wanted to touch on. You mentioned busy short circuit. We've got 29 cars in this field. Oran Park is not the longest of tracks out there. So having said that, it kind of makes sense going for a closed qualifying, because 30 cars or 29 cars out on track trying to get their own quickest lap in, it gets very busy very quickly. So with the closed qualifying, we'll see, maybe there will be a shake-up in the front, maybe somebody else that couldn't get a clean lap in the first qualifying session will be able to put it on pole, but that remains to be seen. From the first race, our top three: Yuri Swart, Julian Familiaris, Jason Kutsia. Will that be the same top three again, or will we have a different top three come the second race?
Well, taking a look, it is a 2.6 kilometer circuit with the crossover on the bridge. They did 17 laps, so they covered 44.2 kilometers in a 20-minute race. In 20 minutes, they covered 44.2 kilometers in a TCR car, front-wheel drive, just giving it everything you're all, which is great.
You can basically say it's more than an average speed of 120 kilometers an hour.
I was bad at math, so I used calculator.
Stephen, just an interesting question. Ever done Oran Park in an LMP1?
No, I have done it in a W12 once before.
How did that go?
The wall comes up very quickly. No, honestly, this circuit lends itself to a lot shorter wheelbase, low-powered cars like your Formula 4s, your TCR cars. The best ones actually were the skippies. The little skip barbers were the best around it, I personally find. And considering there's multiple track layouts at this Oran Park has, including a rallycross circuit as well, so there is guys having to do a bit of rallycross into it as well. So I gotta say, I quite enjoy the circuit. It's not my strongest of tracks. I tend to lose a lot of time through Shell Corner, which is about turn 3, turn 4 into Champion Curve, and then heading towards over the bridge. I don't seem to be able to tuck the nose in on any car drive. It seems to be a little bit of a problem.
The section leading up to the bridge, that's a very technical section. I mean, you need to get the power down very early on there, because otherwise you'll just be slow over the bridge and the cars behind you will catch up to you. So very technical there. And then you're leading into that fast sweeping section of the track before it's hard braking, and then over the hill to the left again. So very technical track. It's by no means an easy track, this.
Now that's it. And you can see a little bit of side-by-side as the back markers trying to shuffle their way through. Wearing the Ardendorf colours, Roland Ferreira having a bit of fun out there. Ardendorf, we got to go and, Adendorf, we got to say a big thank you to our new sponsor for the Formula 4s actually coming into play. We do have a prize for the Formula 4s that's going to be disclosed a little bit further down the line. But, well, I'm wondering, do we give the scoop now? Do we get the slap on the wrist now?
No, all that I can say is there's a prize for first place, but apparently there's a prize for last place as well.
Okay. All right. So
that's as far as I know, let's put it this way. I would love to have the prize for first place. I've got mixed feelings about the prize for last place. Depends on who you are, though.
Well, we can give the prize for the F4s, which is coming next week. Ardendorf Machineries, a very, very fantastic brand that's gone and really set the time ablaze. If you ever got any tools, they're the place to go through. Ardendorf Machineries, going and ensuring that not only tools, generators, a whole bunch of stuff that you can get, and with great quality with it. So first place will actually be scoring a full set toolbox. I'm talking about all the spanners that you want, all the socket wrenches, all the screwdrivers, pliers, the works, handed out in a beautiful, beautiful big toolbox. If you want to go and take a look at that, that is out on the Discord as well. So bit of a prize on the line for the guys, but now we're heading into qualifying. Bego Krobler going to be heading out, Jason Coetzee, as you can see, all the guys, Julian Familiaris. Now, this is an open qualifying for everyone to go and really show off what they can do around the circuit. And it's going to be a bit of a challenging one. I think everyone's got to figure out what's going to be their ideal run. Werner Skuman is going out there. Tristan Norberger is making his way around. You can see guys taking it a little bit slowly. Couple of the guys having to drop the fuel load a little bit more, see what he can do. Herman Lazarus from cheapercars.co.za. He's out going to have a bit of fun. Veynon Kursop had a little bit of a difficult time. He's going to try and come back fighting once again. Lewis Okia, he's out on the track. Jeff Hancock's making his way around for Team Triad Racing. And I think he's not quite sure which gear he's in. He's trying to find first gear. Or trying to warm up the brakes. That's a little bit of brake dragging from what I can see there. I can see what you're doing, buddy. Jan Ferree, our defending champion. He's also looking to try and improve after Heat 1. After a bit of a difficult time, you can see really throwing the car around, trying to just rubber everything in, get a little bit more of a drive, and push it a little bit more, get some heat into the tires and brakes.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of interesting to see how the different drivers, now that it is a closed qualifying session, each car is on the track all by himself, how the different drivers approach the outlap. You know, some of them, like Jeff, don't know what Jeff was doing, but the other guys taking it slowly, warming up the brakes, warming up the tires. Others just go out and send it.
I have to go, even in the real world motorsport, you'll see a lot of guys actually not hang around. They want to get out the box, feel the circuit, how it all is, what the conditions are like. So they would drive hard almost immediately to go and ensure that they're building up that heat, building up that friction, and getting to know the circuit a lot quicker. Yes, a bit cautious of how cold it is, but at the same time, they really want to try and figure out what's going to be the right performance for them as they make their way around the circuit. So let's keep an eye out on the boards. Jason Coetzee looking to try and improve for RDSA Esports and having a bit of fun out there, changing out from the usual single seat as he does in real life. Nico Killerman, he is just practicing his standing starts, but out in first place is Julian Familiaris, putting in a 110.9. Bego Krobler dropping into second place and losing it through turn 2. Paul Herber into third place. Werner Skuman into fourth. Tristan de Norberger, Herman Lazarus, Francois Joubert actually jumping himself up into third place. He's come out with a bit of a bang. Herman Lazarus into 7th, Tristan de Norberger into 6th, and changes again as the guys are making their way through. So times are coming in thick and fast. Remember, they have got 4 laps to make it count, so it's not a lot of time for them out here on the track.
Absolutely, and I think those times are definitely still going to fall. Remember, these TCR cars, they do take a lap or two to, get the tires to heat up and the car to really come to you. So I would not be surprised if we get very close to the 1 minute 9s, if not into the 1 minute 9s by the end of these 4 laps.
Now, Julian Familiaris coming across the line, really getting as close as he can to the wall. Can he beat his last lap time? We're about to find out. Nope. Doing a 12. So actually backing off there. Paul Herber, 1:11. But Tristan de Norberger out the box at 10.7 as he comes across the line. So let's keep an eye out on that. William Botha jumping himself into 4th place, immediately getting knocked out by Francois Joubert up into 4th. So William Botha taking 5th place. Then we've got Werner Skuman. He is down in 7th position as time's starting to come in a little bit quicker now. Andrew Thomas bettering his last lap time, trying to get a little bit more of a run. So guys really stomping it around to see what they can do so far. Werner Skuman, 9th place. Bego Krobler in 10th. 11th, Werner Swart. Timothy Stanton in 12th. 13th, Robbie Teenings. Luke Lucchesi also going and having a great run. He puts himself into 5th position as we were looking at him. So these guys are really having a great run, but with only 4 laps and time running out, well, let's see if the drivers will be able to maintain their positions. Julian Familiaris doing a better time, 10.2, and just trying to stretch open that gap ever so slightly. I've got a very good question for you. Do you prefer to be on the inside around this circuit or the outside of the circuit heading into turn 1, turn 2?
No, definitely on the inside. Problem with that outside line is, somebody can just push you onto that gravel you see there on the right-hand side, and then those tire barriers, Stephen, they come up very quickly to you.
Oh, Jan Farid jumping himself into second place, immediately gets knocked out by Jason Coetzee, who they're battling it out for the championship. Willem Botha in fourth place, Chase Herald. Do you think Jan Farid starting to feel the pressure now, being the defending champion, having to just try and figure out what needs to be done to claw his way through?
Most definitely. I mean, being defending champion does add some pressure, and it does add some pressure to perform well. But Stephen, I am going through the timing sheet, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I am actually not seeing Yuri Umpi-Swartz on the timing screens at the moment.
Yuri Umpi-Swartz actually down in, down right at the back. It looks like he's been dropping a wheel on the dirt every so often and validating his time. So he's going to be starting at the back of the field if he can't get going. But I do want to point out these cars are topping out, some of them at 216 kilometers an hour around the circuit. I mean, that is just insane. Jason Coetzee, fastest, the top speed for him, 209. Tristan de Norbrigge, 210. Andrew Thomas managing to do a 217 with his pace. Bego Grobler doing a 204. Rolof Tillman doing a 211. I mean, these are incredible top-end speeds that the guys are getting on such a short circuit.
Bego pushing very hard, and again going off at turn 2.
I think we're in for a proper run to the line as time starts to run out. Jason Coetzee trying to get himself a little bit more warmed up. Luke Lucchesi, he's also just trying to get a little bit more pace underneath him. Willem Botha, he's done his lap. He's going to be parking it. Timothy Stanton keeps on pushing. He's hoping to better his lap time around the final corner. Gets back onto the power. A little bit too much of a turning in on the inside, keeping a tighter line. Runs it out wide to the wall. Comes across the line, maintaining... looks like he's going to maintain his position when he comes across the line. Yep, 16th place is going to be him. Nico Killerman sliding it through, being a bit of a rock star at the moment as he makes his way around. He's in 22nd at the moment, keeping just ahead of Doug Herber as he powers his way through, trying to claw his way around. Richard Herring trying to improve. Richard Herring's actually been doing this circuit in the rallycross, not really in TCR. So one of the first things he said was, it's a little bit different. You're keeping it going straight instead of turning left when you need to. So he comes across the line, going to be maintaining 24th position. Gabriel Dos Santos, as slides into the wall, is in 25th position. Hilton Nixon in 26th. Arno Kraus, he is in 27th. Christopher Bosch and Yuri Swart going and still battling their way around the circuit, trying to get in that just elusive lap time. Christopher having a bit of a difficult time to do it. Yuri not having the best of luck, dropping a wheel onto the dirt every so often. And after such a stellar performance, he's going to have to keep a wide eye on what's happened. Jason Coetzee, though, take a look at this. Utilizing the time left to just practice. Yeah, practicing his starts. Willem Botha coming across the line. He's trying to get a little bit more. And I think he will also be trying to practice his start with a couple of seconds to go. Let's see. There it is. And away he goes. So a couple of
burnout than a practice start, though.
Oh, that's a couple of drivers, though, utilizing the time to just get that start ready to get the optimum jump on the rest of the field, which is interesting. Good tactic to use when you have a couple of seconds around to play with. Well, why not?
I mean, absolutely. And that's one of the things that you can do in a close qualifying session. There's no other cars on track, no other cars around you. So you can actually stop it on the line and do a practice start. But having said that, I'm pretty sure, I don't know about you, Stephen, but I tend to do it in standing start races. I tend to practice starts when I do my practice for the race. Because a standing start, totally different. You arrive at turn 1, turn 2, at a very different speed than what you would normally do if you were under race circumstances.
That's it. So, Julian Familiaris in first, Jason Coetzee, Tristan de Norbrigge, along with Jan Farid, Chase Herald, Willem Botha, Francois Jobert, Paul Gerber in 8th place. Bego Grobler, Rolf Tilleman, Herman Lazarus, Nico Killerman, Timothy Stanton, Jeff Hancock, Robbie Teenings, Veynon Kursop in 20th. Doe Herber, Richard Herring, Gabriel DeSantos, Hilton Nixon, Christopher Bosch, Yuri Swart, and Arno Kraus rounding out our 29-car field as they line up for the line, getting ready to rock and roll. There is a shot of our defending champion, hoping that from 4th place he can get the jump on this man here, Tristan de Norbrigger, who will have his eyes set on Jason Coetzee just ahead of him. And in 1st place, Julian Familiaris has got all the eyes staring back at him, trying to figure out how can he launch away, get across the field. Gabriel at the moment is the only one. I do want to point out Gabriel Santos, who's down in 25th position. There he is the one of 2 rookies. He's actually the true rookie. Richard Herring has done the previous season. Gabriel Santos, his license is still rookie, so he's out there to have a bit of fun and really been doing a fantastic job doing this. So it really does show it doesn't matter what your license class is, you can come in and go and duke it out with the best of the best. Multinational champions out in the field, multi-champions in sim racing as well, going and battling it out there. So I've got to say, I'm looking forward to seeing what Heat 2 is going to look like. 20 minutes as we wait for the guys to get the green flag. So lights will go on. We'll have 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4 laps, 5 laps, and away we go. Yes, that is a reference to old Mr. Walker. It looks like Jason is not going to be making the field as they start off. So Jason Coetzee starts from the pit lane. Julian Familiaris off to a great start, immediately closing the gap on the likes of Tristan de Norbrigger. Tristan trying to go and do everything he can. Johan Free try to going around the outside, not able to do it. And we'll do a bit of a switchback contact though. Looks like Chase Herald, Tristan de Norbrigger all landing up in a bit of a mess. Tristan getting into a big contact. Johan Free hooking reverse, trying to get himself back on circuit. That has allowed Paul Herber to dive up into 3rd place. Francois Jabert up into 4th. Chase Herald trying to make up some time after that contact. Andrew Thomas right behind him, looking around the outside. There seems to be Werner Skuman along with Bego Hrobler, as it looks like Werner gets a little bit sideways. Bego jumping into 7th place. 8th place, Luke Lucchesi, who has come back with a bit of a fight, trying to close down the distance. Werner Swart now looking to keep back Werner Skuman. Jeff Hancox does a send it. Hancox up on the inside, dives up onto 11th place. Rudolf Tillman, no answer for it. Tristan de Norbrigger back out on the circuit. Robbie Teenix trying to chase him down. Yuri Swart going out a little bit wide. He's got Ferreira up on the inside. Ruan Ferreira just trying to make up some ground. Richard Herring trying to close down the gap as well. So off to a bit of a chaotic start, but back out at the front. Francois Jabert and Paul Herber trying their best to catch William Bertha and Julian Familiaris just ahead. But you've also got the likes of Andrew Thomas trying to close down the distance to Chase. He's got Bego all over the back of him, trying to look for the inside line, and he's pulling Luke Lucchesi along right now.
Absolutely very busy at the start of this race. 1 or 2 contacts, but now Thomas making his way around. He is got behind him Johan Hrobler. Bego Hrobler is battling it out with him, and behind Bego Hrobler we've got Luke Lucchesi. So Stephen, a couple of guys that have not had the best of first races, they're making their way back up the field in this second race and hoping for a better race. I mean, Paul Gerber, we've got there, Bega Hrobler, Luke Lucchesi, all of them now trying to fight their way into that top 10 or up into the top 5 maybe.
Well, William Bertha has got Paul Gerber all over the back of him, trying to chase him down and put as much pressure as possible. Then you got Yuri Swart. Remember, he started right at the back of the field. He goes around the outside of Robbie Teenings, managing to move up a position and is on an outright charge to close the distance to the cars ahead. He's trying to make up as much ground as possible. Then we've got Nico Killerman. He landed up with a bit of contact early on, seeing that he's got a bit of damage to the front end of his car. He's going to try and drag it out and go after Gabriel DeSantos as quick as possible. But Gabriel, who's also doing everything he can, has gained 7 positions on the start of his race. Yuri Swart at the moment, I've got to take my hats off to him. I'm not trying to blow smoke up the guy's backside, but 15 positions off the start, well, that's no easy feat to do.
Well, he's not hanging back. He's trying to make his way back up to the front to take the fight to Julian Familiaris and Johan Coetzee, the top 3 in the first race. So he's trying his utmost best to get back up there.
Well, Rolf Tillman now watching his mirrors, keeping a very close eye on Yuri Umpi-Swat right behind him. Jeff Hancock's also doing everything he can to just start opening up the distance, realizing that there is a fight just behind him. Out in 7th and 8th position, we have got Bego Krobler as Yuri Umpi-Swat managing to swing past. Seems a little bit more comfortable through the chicane and now got himself up into 12th position. But in 7th and 8th, we've got Bego Krobler, Luke Lucchesi closing down the distance. Werner Skuman has got Werner Swart trying to make up a bit of ground. Werner Swart looks for the inside line, a little bit too far back. He's going to hang back a little bit and try go after him once again. So, bit of a chaotic start. Some really impressive times. But taking a look at my screen, I see Jason Coetzee's actually landed up with a bit of a problem. Let's take a look. He's trying to carve his way through the field. Remember, he started dead last after missing the start, getting a little bit of a flash from Ron the Martini car saying, listen, coming through, and dives past Jason Coetzee going, and unfortunately having to retire the car, I think running into a bit of an issue. So
that's like a technical difficulty there.
Yeah, unfortunately, a bit of a technical problem there has caused him to slow up. Chase Herald, though, got Bego Krobler and Luke Lucchesi now into the fight. 3-car battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th position at the moment as they slide their way through the final corner. Bego trying to look up on the inside. Chase Herald not backing down from it, and Luke Lucchesi keeping an eye on this battle. He's going to try and capitalize. Remember, all you need is one little move, one little door to open up, and you can try and get up on the inside and force your competitors to take the unfavorable line, especially around this circuit. Closed in 2010, might I add. Honestly, a sad sight to hear it. And, well, I've missed circuits like these as they battle their way through.
This is a fantastic circuit to race on, especially in something like a touring car. As we have a look at Luke Lucchesi, he's now closed that gap up to Johan Bego Krobler. I mean, there's only 0.3 between these three cars as they battle their way around the track. Chase Herald out in front, followed by Bego Krobler. Luke Lucchesi right behind him. They've got a 3-car train now, and Stephen, I can't help wondering if Luke is just sitting and biding his time a little bit there behind Bego Krobler, but Yuri Swart, he's making his way. He's now in 11th place. He's making his way up the field. You know, if it keeps on going like this, it's not going to take too long before he's on the back of this battle. He's only about 3 seconds back, or they are only 3 seconds up the road from him.
Now that's it. He is keeping within earshot of these two. Sideways, Bego hooks it sideways, and just misses Chase. Goes into the wall. Chase managing to hook the brakes and just avoid. And that's the thing. You're pushing a little bit too hard and can land up in a world of hurt. But what a bit of a smack for Bego Krobler. He did everything he could to try make up some ground, but unfortunately hooking the brakes a little bit late, going into the corner, locking it up, sliding it through. Chase managing to avoid the situation. Luke Lucchesi tried capitalizing on the situation, but that's thrown Bego right down the order and into a bit of a problem there. So he's going to have to try and figure out how to claw his way through. But Julian Familiaris out in first place. Willem Botha in second. He's got Paul Gerber all over the back of him. This is for second and third. Light touch on the wall. Willem Botha doing everything he can to maintain his position, slightly moving out to try and keep Paul Gerber at bay as they get into the toe, heading into turn one. It's going to be a slight lift in the turn. Keep it up, light on the brakes, tighten it up now a little bit. Oh, you've got to be so careful heading into turn one. You've got to be so gentle not to lock it up. It doesn't matter what car you're in, whether you're in a single-seater, a touring car, GT3, all of it's the same, because you're actually not braking in a straight line. You're braking while cornering at the same time, and that always unsettles any car because the momentum shift, the weight shift on the cars throws you around.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul is now right on the rear bumper of Willem Botha. He's not letting him go, putting him under tremendous pressure, but Willem Botha is not budging at this stage. Stephen, there's millimeters between those cars. You know, racing this closely, only the slightest mistake from the guy behind, braking just too late, and he can run into the back of the car in front of him, but Paul is not letting him go. He's trying to get as close as he can to Willem in front of him and trying to stick his nose in somewhere to get the car past, because out in front he's seeing Julian Familiaris disappearing into the distance. He's now 3.3 seconds ahead. He needs to get past Willem Botha if he can, but Willem Botha just soaking up that pressure. He's just keeping the car on the racing line, and as Paul, have a look now on the inside. This is one of the places he can pass, not close enough. So yet again, he needs to follow Willem Botha around right on his rear bumper.
Yeah, that's it. And they're starting to close down on this man here. Down in 22nd place is Herman Lazarus. He's trying everything he can, but he's going to be watching his rearview mirror very, very closely, as our leaders will be gaining a bit of ground. They're going to be starting to mix with the back markers, as you can see on the little map off to the right of your screen. The guys are going to be so careful of not to get caught out in a world of hurt. So the guys need to try and figure out what's going to work, what's not going to work at this point.
Absolutely, and Oran Park, not the easiest of place to lap some of the cars, because just catch that car at the wrong place and you might be stuck behind him for a corner or two. As we have a look, Paul Gerber in the slipstream of Willem Botha. Is he going to try and make a move? Almost can't see him behind there as they make their way through turn 1, turn 2, hard on the brakes. Paul closing up on the braking, but even Willem Botha is just not fazed about Paul behind him.
I think there was a slight phase there, trying to snap him out the toe very quickly, but unfortunately unable to do so, and that is landing up. Yuri Umpiswat, though, getting ahead of Luke Lucchesi, so he managed to get past Luke. Now he's got his eyes firmly set on Chase Herald as he's making his way, carving through a couple of the back markers ahead. Well, Chase Herald saying, listen, hold him back as much as possible. Yuri dives up on the inside, hooks it. So does Luke Lucchesi, one of the cars, unfortunately, going and landing up, flying off and catching the wall on the way through. But Yuri having the fastest lap, a 109.8 out of the entire field, which is far better. Well, 108, I'm just going to put this, 109.83, while Julian Familiaris is second fastest with a 109.88. So we're talking of a tenth of a second in terms of best lap times. But the guys are really putting in a huge amount of effort to fight their way through even further down. Take a look at Timothy Stanton. He's going after Nico Killerman. Nico is trying to hang it out as much as possible and losing out a bit of drive there. So Timothy comes launching past Nico, just going and not having the same fight. I think the damage starting to come into effect, and he's starting to feel it a little bit more as he tries to put the power down. Tristan de Norbrigger, he's making his way through. He's right up onto the back of Doe Gerber, pushing as hard as he can. Doe going and giving a little bit away. He's deciding with the damage on his car, he's not going to argue too much with Tristan de Norbrigger, but rather pull himself along with the guys really doing everything they can. Just ahead of them, though, you saw Hilton Nixon. He is lying in 23rd, so he's getting lapped at the moment, being well aware of the faster cars just battling it out right behind him. So he's got to keep that in mind. Arno Kraus, he's pulling into the pits, getting himself sorted out, and it does look like one of the Ondorf cars getting a bit broken. That's in the pits there. I think the suspension is slightly a bit shot.
Willow Iman just slightly out on that one, so he's just getting that checked. Then he'll be out on track again, making his way up the field as far as possible. But Stephen, this is turning out to be another awesome close battle between the cars out on track as we watch Yuri Umpiswat trying to make his way up to the field. You know, he's now in 7th position with Chase Herald right in front of him, and he's trying to go around the outside, maybe trying to go for the switchback so that he has the inside line for the next right-hander, not close enough. We'll have to tuck in behind that rear bumper and follow him round.
Yeah, and just taking a look that we've got a bit of news from the pits. Gabriel Dos Santos retiring, unfortunately, with a disconnect, which counts as a mechanical failure. Absolutely heartbreaking, considering the pace that he was going. And, well, we'll see him coming back and definitely putting up the fight. So, Gabriel, sitting on the sidelines, watching the racing, but I'm sure will be chomping back at the bit to get into the car and go racing once again.
Is that why we saw him careening into the wall there?
I think, unfortunately, that little bit of a problem has dropped him out. Yuri Swart, though, right onto the back of Chase Herald. Literally 0.1 of a second separating between these two. Chase really battling it out, trying to hang it all together sideways into turn 1, trying to catch the car as he flies by. Yuri giving him everything he can, tries going for the dirt, tries going for the cutback, and Yuri not having an easy time there. Chase is going to really cause Yuri to go around the long way every single time, and you can be sure Yuri is loving it, but at the same time going, come on, I gotta get going.
Yeah, Chase covering that inside line beautifully, as you said, making Yuri go around the outside the whole time. I think Yuri might be getting a bit frustrated behind him, and he's trying desperately to get past him, sticking to that rear bumper of his, but at this stage Chase is just not budging. I think Yuri's trying to line him up maybe for a turn 1 pass, as we see Chase bumping or hopping over the curbs. Yuri closing up right into his rear bumper, and now Yuri hitting a wall. That's going to hurt his drive down the straight.
Yeah, slight bit of damage. I see that we have got Richard Herring. He's trying to get himself going, and got a bit of damage to the car, so unfortunately landed up with a crash. Gabriel Dos Santos also trying to rejoin and finish the race. Contact.
Yuri making his way past Steven. As I said, I think he got a little bit desperate there. He knows he needs to get past Chase. Slight touch on the rear bumper. Luckily, with these front-wheel drive cars, they don't spin around that easily, or as easily as the rear-wheel drive cars do.
Yeah, that's just a little bit of a nudge, a little bit of an elbow out to it. But gotta say, some proper racing out there. The guys really trying to slug it out. Little bit of argy-bargy here and there, as we see Tristan Norberger. He's trying to make his way past one of the THLF cars, and I think that's Venan Kursop that went and relinquished the position. He tried fighting back, but opting that he'll rather use a tow and come back fighting a little bit later to close down the distance. So a couple of guys trying to think out the long game here for the championship and really having a bit of fun. But I do want to point out to this man over here, we heard that he had a disconnect. He's down in 28th position, but is back out on the circuit, and his sole goal is to see the checkered flag at the end. He is on the same lap, though, as this man, Lewis Nokia, who is only 21 seconds up the road, so he can go for it. Christopher Bush is also a little bit within a bit reach as well, so he's on the same lap. There is a possibility of gaining a position, but it's going to be close, especially with the remaining time of this race. It's gonna be, well, you got to really stand on it. Andrew Thomas, though, he's got Yuri Swart in the rearview mirrors now. Yuri really focusing, trying to go for that inside line. Andrew Thomas defending the inside line, maybe learning a little bit. He sees Francois Jabert just up the road to him, so he's got to be so cautious not to allow Yuri to get past, especially in the closing stages of this race.
Absolutely, Stephen. Just coming back to your previous point, how the point system works at this stage is the whole field scores points. So even if you have a disconnect, come back into the server and just finish the race, because there might be somebody out there that just has a little bit of worse luck than you have, and you might actually, score a position and score a couple of extra points in the championship.
It's also one thing I find, it's a bit of a confidence thing as well, because you sit back and you go, listen, I had a little bit of a rough race. Even if you have contacts, I mean, both you and I have had it where leading a race and unfortunately, incidents happen or you lose it. I mean, let's take my run at Le Mans. Get in the car, not even half a lap, and I put it in the wall on my out lap. So, things like that happen, but you do want to see the end of the finish line, because it's just a confidence thing of, it happened, but let's get back in and racing. Andrew Thomas, though, dealing with Yuri Swart, battling out a little bit further back. There is a battle going on, and that's involving Robbie Teenings right up back of Johan Ferry, who is the defending champion at the moment. He's trying to deal and shake off Robbie Teenings.
Yeah, I think at this stage, Yuri Swart very much doesn't want to see the finish line. He wants to see the front of Andrew S.J. Thomas in front of him, or he wants to see him in his rearview mirrors, I should rather say. He's doing his utmost best to get past him, looking on the inside, trying everything. He knows the time is running out. We've got less than 2 minutes left in this race. Currently 6th position, Urian Piswat 5th place, and Andrew J.S. Thomas battling it out. This is some interesting racing we got going here, and I'm out of breath already. Well, again, not already.
Well, that's it. So far, fastest, well, top speed. The best top speed actually goes to Willem Bertha doing a 2:12 as his top end. Everyone else doing about a 2:09, 2:10 as their quickest one. So the guys are properly having to go at it. One thing I do want to point out is Francois Jabert starting to get caught up a little bit here, and is going to also be part of the Andrew Thomas and Yuri Umpi-Swart problem very, very quickly as they get into tow. So Francois Jabert now trying to figure out what can he do to just get a little bit more pace, as he has got less than half a second separating him and this little battle going on, and knowing the fight that is going to be happening. It's going to be an interesting one. Yuri Swart jumping up 22 positions since the start of his race. Andrew Thomas, though, going out wide. So he's trying to battle out, looks for a cutback. Will he have the drive? Slams it up on the inside, not able to get it, has to back out. Yuri Swart up into 5th position. Now he's got his eyes firmly set on Francois Jabert out in 4th.
Yeah, the problem just that he has, Yuri Piswat, there can't be really much more than 1 lap left, Stephen. If this is not the last lap we have.
Checkered flag coming out. First place, Julian Familiaris with a dominating win for Heat 2. Second place going to Paul Gerber, keeping just ahead of Willem Bertha. Francois Jabert in 4th place. 5th place going to Yuri Umpi-Swart. Andrew Thomas, Chase Herald, Luke Lucchesi comes across the line in 8th place. Werner Skuman in 9th. Werner Swart coming out in 10th place with Jeff Hancock's in 11th. 12th, Roelof Tilleman keeping ahead of Jan Ferree, who's trying to go for the inside line. Can he make it stick, though? Goes out wide, not able to carry the same pace through. Robbie Teenings taking 14th position. 15th, Timothy Stanton. Nico Killerman in 16th. 17th, Tristan de Norbrugge. Veynon Kersop finishing up in 18th. Well done for sticking it out there, buddy. I know it hasn't been the easiest race, but well done. 19th place, Doe Gerber. He's out there having a bit of fun. A little bit of a dinged up car, but he is going to bring the newly modified advanced air cooling system car to the line. Herman Lazarus in 20th. 21st, Bago Krobler. Hilton Nixon for the debut run out in 22nd place. Arno Kraus in 23rd. Roland Ferreira in 24th. 25th, Richard Herring. Christopher Bosch. Lewis Nokia. Gabriel Dos Santos finishing up in 28th position. Went to get it all the way to the line. Jason Coetzee in 29th position. Unfortunately, sustaining some mechanical failure that took him out the race. But there is our provisional results, ladies and gentlemen. And I've got to say, what a race it was until the line.
Yeah, absolutely, Stephen. I think we can say that Julian Familiaris, he's taking the evening with his 2nd place in the first heat, 1st place in the 2nd heat. But a very different top 3 in Heat 2. I mean, Paul Gerber, Willem Bertha, a couple of guys that did not have the best of first races, really stepping it up in the 2nd race and showing what they are made of. So great racing, awesome evening of racing, and I'm very much looking forward to the F4s around this track next week.
Yeah, the F4s are going to be a great bit of fun, so keep an eye out for that. That is coming next week for a whole bunch of fun. And a lot to recap as well for our weekly recap, so keep an eye out on that. Lots of support going out to Gabriel Dos Santos, Mahath Musa jumping in, Grant Sebastian, Andre also jumping into it, Project Vapor going and showing out in force. But it's been fantastic having everyone here out on the Raceface Grandstands. Thank you so much for joining us this evening for round number 1 of our TCR Championship Season 2. It's honestly an honor to be out on the mic for you guys, and well, to get to talk about the amazing action that's out on circuit the whole time is well, rather refreshing. Yeah, man, we're gonna have to see what the result. well, we got to see what the guys are going to do, especially for the next race. And we've only got the provisional results, so keep an eye out for the final results coming out soon. So keep an eye out that on our Discord. But while we're talking about that, let's actually take a look at what's coming up this week. We have got round number 1 at Suzuka for our GT3 Sprint Series Season 10, heading out on the 2nd of August tomorrow night with some GT3 action out on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Will we see Ryan Ottens be able to get a jump off the line, or is he going to lose out his championship crown early on in the race?
Yeah, very much looking forward to that as we kick off, as you said, the GT3 racing again. That's the start of the ACC season. Season 10 of the Sprint Series already, Stephen. You know, it feels like it only started yesterday, but now we're already Season 10. And then on Thursday, we go to the big one. That is the Grid Championship Season 4, where we will have the same track, Suzuka, as round 1. They follow the same calendar as the Sprint Series, but in the longer format, hour and 20-minute race. 2 mandatory pit stops, so a lot more strategy involved than in the Sprint Series. I think that's also going to be a good one, Stephen.
Yeah, and let's see whether our Sherritt King will be able to be dethroned early on. Taking 2 championships, I think it's going to be a difficult one, but the drivers are chomping at the bit for it, and that's going to be out on Thursday with the Grid Championship. And with the prize pool on the line, well, it's all about getting it to the top. Also coming up, round 1 at Suzuka, we do have our Automobilista 2 Formula 1 League out on the 5th of August. Go and enjoy some fun. New updates to the cars have really swapped them out, really changed up the tire physics, and it's made Automobilista more tempting for a lot of sim racers. So jumping out onto it, so let's see how it all goes. But if you're not a fan of Automobilista's Formula 1, why not go and join out with our Formula 1 2023 League, as it's reborn from the ashes, the longest running F1 league, and I'm stand to be corrected, that is out on PC in South Africa, as they head to Montreal, Canada, to go and have a bit of fun on the 8th of August. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the guys are going to be able to do as they battle their way through. Also coming up next week, as brought up, 8th of August, we have got round 1 of our Formula 4 series, brought to you by RaceFace at Oran Park. Free track, new car, gonna be a huge amount of fun. And gotta say, open wheels, single seater, best in the world. If you're driving anything else, well, you're just no fun.
Yeah, we all know that you are a firm favorite of open wheel racing. And next week, the F4s, I'm very much looking forward to it. And, you know, some say I might even be racing.
Well, that's it. Keep an eye out on it. And Laguna Seca, round 2, 15th of August. Mark it down on your calendar for our TCR Championship Season 2. We saw a little bit of carnage going on at Oran Park. A little bit more of an open track, but the corkscrew always want to keep an eye out for it. Laguna Seca, that's coming up on the 15th of August. So mark it down in the calendar. Absolutely amazing stuff coming up here at Raceface. But make sure you like and subscribe on our YouTube. You hit the subscribe button along with the bell notification icon. Let us know in the comments what you think. Share the link with everyone and let us know how it is out there in the world of Raceface. But also make sure you head over to our social media out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and even join us on the Discord. Whether you want to race or whether you just want to have a little bit of fun, chat to the guys, all is welcome out on our Discord. We love to see you guys chatting about real world, virtual world, well, any type of world. If you're even in my world, it's always my dream state where I think I'm holding a first place trophy. One day, just one day, it might happen. I think when pigs fly and I'm riding a magic carpet while holding onto a piece of dynamite diving into a volcano. There we go, for any active imaginations.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, because if memory serves me right, you've held first place trophies before.
Well, we'll see. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for joining us here for Raceface. And from myself, Stephen Koenig, I'd like to thank you guys for everything. And I'd also like to thank my co-commentator, Jan Perez. for being part of all the crazy action happening behind the scenes, and also for having me in his ear. Thank you to you guys for inviting us into your homes, allowing us to have a cool drink, sit down on the chair next to you, talk all about the amazing racing, and then go and camp out on your couch.
Always a pleasure doing commentating with you, Stephen. We'll be back again tomorrow evening, so the ears will be ringing again tomorrow evening, but very much looking forward to all the racing this week.
That's it. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, like always, I'd like to say good morning, good afternoon, good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.